I was thinking this morning as I was driving over here, how long ago was it that you first walked in the door?
When I first walked in the door, would have been, I was thinking this year would be the 6th year since my accident. So it was August, it would have been August '06. So it'd be close to 5 years.
So can you tell us what was going on in your life at that time? What was happening?
At that time, well probably 6 months prior to that, I'd realised that I was living a life that wasn't sustainable. I was saying things to myself, I catch myself out and I'm thinking to myself, why is it that I go to work and give the very best of me to the people who matter the least, and come home and give the people who matter the most what's left? And I kept thinking to myself, if I would put the same amount of focus and energy into my personal life like I do my work life, I'd be great. But I had everything back to front. I didn't know how to change that. I didn't really know why I did it. I think I've got a lot of love and admiration for being a hard worker, but my whole identity being wrapped up as a worker wasn't serving me in my personal life.
So how did it feel to sort of come to that realisation?
It felt pretty scary, because I knew how to work. There was no doubt about that. But I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I didn't know how to deal with the feeling of being a disappointment.
Right, so tell us a bit more about the transition from where you were then to where are you now?
Well, the transition I think started when I got the phone call from Andy saying, hey look, we've got this men's group going, do you want to come along? And I sort of thought, oh yeah, I'll go along and help some of these poor buggers deal with some of their emotions, because I thought, yeah, I'm pretty good with all that stuff. And went along there and spent the 8 weeks in the course and really enjoyed every single part of it. It wasn't long before the guys who were facilitating the group soon realised how to work me out, and it just, I think having that feeling that security and that safety to sit down amongst other men who were also going through the similar things that I was going through really made things feel very comfortable and very safe. The fact that I'm not the only poor bugger out there who's had this happen to him, and that really helped. And I think once I identified that I had the similar problems to a lot of other men, it just made me feel a lot more relaxed. I didn't need to have that huge ego that I created to try and protect myself from these bad feelings I had about myself.
So you felt comfortable and relaxed, but initially there was some apprehension and that was difficult. So I guess what I'm saying is, what would you say to a guy who was thinking about coming along to one of these programs and was a little bit reticent? What would you say to him?
Well, the thing is this, the way I see it now is that whenever in life I've had a big decision to make in my life, I feel like I'm going up to a cliff face. Now there's two things I can do. I can either step back and cower away from that cliff face, or I can have either a facilitator or a mentor help guide me over that cliff face, and it doesn't have to be as scary as you think it is.
But it was scary to start with.
It was very scary.
And how real was that fear?
It was really real. That's probably the scariest I've ever been in my life. Sitting around with other men who don't know me, who I don't know what they do. The normal old, g'day, my name's Matt Cuttler, I'm a truck driver. I couldn't say that anymore because I wasn't a truck driver anymore, so I didn't know who I was. And I think similar to a lot of those guys that were there.
So what would you say the 3 gold nuggets that you got out of coming and doing those programs?
The 3 gold nuggets I got out of doing those programs, I'd have to be that I firstly began to accept myself for the fact that I am a man, I am human, I make mistakes, and I can take responsibility for them. I definitely think that the second gold nugget was the fact that I project a lot of my pain and agony out onto everybody else, and learning to take responsibility for that was probably the most challenging thing. The third gold nugget was that I made some amazing friends. Some of them are my best friends in the world, and I get to spend a lot of time with them, and that has definitely been the best nugget out of the whole lot.
And what about your kids? If they were here now, what would they say?
my kids would say about me now, and we only just spoke about it just recently, the difference between the man I was to the man I am today. Incorporating everything from being a husband, a father, a brother, an uncle. It's all changed now. My balance is now all about family and giving my kids and my family my best. I still work. I mean, I don't drive trucks anymore, but I have a rule now as I drive up the driveway to walk into my house and give them my best and not to leave my best back out there at work. And my kids notice that. I get a lot of love and admiration from my kids for the man that I am today, and I often thank them, quite often thank them for giving me the courage to get out of that truck, because that day I got that choice. It was all about, well, your kids deserve a good father, so you probably should get out of here before you die. And I often thank them for that, and it gives them a great deal of encouragement, the fact that they mean that much to me.
Yeah, I get that. I notice you shift in your energy when you spoke of friendships and of your children. So perhaps you can speak a bit more about relationships and why that's important to you and how it's different.
Well, the friends I used to have were friends that were mainly somebody that I could talk rubbish with, basically just sit down and talk a lot of bullshit with, but never actually really talk. I have a bit of a saying, I'd ask people, how you going today? Good? Because I needed people to be good all the time, as opposed to saying, how are you today? And actually letting that person really tell me what's going on for them. Because, I didn't really want to know what was going on for them, and they really didn't want to know what was going on for me. But the friends I have now allow me to speak without judgment, without fear of, being called a sook or a poof.
So you're accepted for who you are and where you're at.
Definitely. Accepted for everything I am. All the good and all the bad.
That must make a bit of a difference.
It makes a huge difference. To be able to sit down with Ben and tell him your most shameful moment of your life is a huge difference.
So, just bringing it back to the kids again, I guess want you to just imagine they're here beside you, one each side, and this is Mackenzie and Lil. What would they say? I can see them looking up at your eyes right now, and big smiles, hearts full of love.
Yeah.
What would they be saying?
I just think they're really grateful. Mackenzie would say, yeah, Dad always tells me that he loves me, like he always does. I know for one thing for sure, those kids would say they never ever have to worry, they never have to doubt the fact that their father loves them unconditionally. Lily would possibly talk about, how grateful she is of how proud her father is of her. Because I'm constantly telling Lily how proud I am of her because of the things that she can do. I'll tell you a quick story. Just recently we were swimming at Majimba Beach, and I was saying to the girls, it was Lily and her cousin Laura, only 12-year-old, and the waves are pretty big. And I said, you're sort of in no man's land. You're wandering out here in these waves, getting knocked around. And I said, and it's not safe for you. So you've got two choices. You can either swim through all this rubbish and get out to paradise, where you can just sit in the waves and roll over the waves. You can be out there, or you've got to go back into the shallow end and just, not get knocked over by these waves. The choice is yours. What do you want to do? And Lily said, I want to swim out. I'll swim out there. I said, well, it's called out the back. So if you're going to swim, you've got to swim. You can't walk out there. You've got to swim. And you're going to have to swim hard. And there'll be times where you feel you can't keep going, and you'll have to keep swimming. I said, now I'm going to go out there and I'm going to wait out there for you, and you get going. Anyway, so I get out there, and then Lily and Laura swam their absolute hearts out to get through these waves. I watched them, they ducked, they went under. I watched the lifesaver up on the thing stand up, and he was watching them. Anyway, they got out there, and I'm going to Lily, come on, please, keep swimming. And she made it out there. And she actually said to me, she goes, I've got more admiration for you now than I ever have. She said, for letting me do this, because she felt so proud of herself. Having that courage to have that faith and that belief in her that she can do that, because I now have that in me, that ability to deal with situations differently, I suppose. Once I got out to paradise and they were able to just sit there and let the waves, just flow over the waves, the smile on their face was amazing. And it's definitely changed something in Lily, that's for sure.
So I'm hearing you speak to something that that comes up a lot in these programs is men in service, and that's returning to support other fathers and sons, other men and boys. Can you tell me what your experience of that has been?
Well, I mean, that's really it for me now. Like, you know, I got a second chance at life. I don't know too many men who do. I don't know too many men who get a second chance at life and actually, you know, probably really do what they're meant to do with it. The gift I've been given to be able to sit down and talk to other men and show them that, you know, I might look to be this way, but I'm really very vulnerable and really open. When I can show men that vulnerable, open side, it allows them to be really vulnerable. And boys. You know, kids have an ability, boys, I'm a knock-around sort of a bloke. You know, I'm still a big kid at heart. And the kids really resonate with that. And they want to tell me their story.
Now, do you remember the Payne Road program that we ran? And just right at the end, we went around the circle and all the boys said something they got out of it.
Yeah.
Do you remember some of the things,
yeah,
you know, those boys said? What really stuck out for you there?
You know, that group at Payne Road was a pretty special group. We had some fairly unique kids there, and we talked about the stuff that people generally don't want to talk about. You know, you hear of a young boy whose mother has passed away, and you sort of, you know, generally you think, oh well, we won't talk about that. You know, we won't be talking about that. Well, that for me is gold. You know, that is the one thing we will talk about, is the fact that you don't have a mum. And that young fellow at the end of the course sat up and said, you know, generally when I'm not at school I'm sad. I'm not sad anymore. And I tell you, that to me is the proudest I've ever felt for a long time when it comes to doing that sort of work. You know, hearing the boys, what they get out of it, just really fuels the fire to do a hell of a lot more of it.
And he wasn't the only one to say something special that day. And just seeing that glimmer in your eye now, mate. And I'm wondering, you know, how might your life have been different if you had that when you were 12 or 13?
You know, that's the thing. When I first joined that first group and then got into facilitating men's groups myself, I sort of thought, yeah, this is sort of like emergency care. You know, what if we could do some preventative care? And that's where, you know, I started looking at, you know, doing things in schools for boys in grade 7. You know, before I had started all the bad habits I had, before I, you know, started to disrespect women and tell lies to help create my huge ego to protect myself.